Today I fucked up by telling a man who was dying that I would see him later. I work in healthcare and I work with people who are at the end of their lives, usually due to age or a degenerative disease. And recently I was working with a man, who I will call Mr. X to ensure privacy, who was nearing the end of his life. Mr. X was scheduled for assisted death, 100% legal in my state, due to a disease he had. I had been working with Mr. X for almost half a year and gotten to know him very well. I learned a lot about Mr. X and he learned a lot about me. I would say Mr. 10 and 1 were friends, if that makes sense. A day before he died, I was performing his last care on him. I was doing the usual things, and as it was late, 10 p.m. at night, I was quite tired. I have anywhere between 20 to 30 patients to do in a single shift. Without thinking, when I was cleaning up my supplies, I wished Mr. X a good evening and said I would see him tomorrow night. The awkward part is that Mr. X was not going to live past lunch the following day. He knew, I knew, and everyone else I worked with knew that was going to happen. I felt mortified and so embarrassed. Luckily Mr. X had a good laugh and responded that he didn't want to see me tomorrow night because he hoped I was still here, alive. TL Doctor. I told a dying man that I would see him the next day even though he was scheduled to have assisted suicide. Anybody who can laugh the day before their certain death is lucky. The fact that your slip of the tongue gave them that laugh is all the better. That's just really sad to think about. Having to face your mortality and just waiting and knowing it's coming. He was excited. I can't say a lot, due to privacy and respect for Mr. X, but I can say is that he didn't want to suffer and that's what he got. See him later. Well, I mean, if you play your cards right you're not wrong. You mean if he plays his cards wrong? Sounds like you gave someone some happiness in their final days. Nice work! Exclamation mark. Catch you on the flip side, Mr. X. Today I fucked up by avoiding school by pretending to have a stomachache and ending up in the hospital. This happened a couple years ago while I was in 7th grade. Being bullied isn't fun. Yes, this does relate. Hold on. When a kid is bullied, they will do anything to avoid going to school. The sense of dread as you walk into the premises is overwhelming, because you know exactly what's going to happen, yet have no control over the situation. So why bother going in at all? That was my rationale, anyway. So I did what any kid, hell, every kid has done at one point or another. I faked being sick. I'd been acting since 2nd grade, so it was pretty easy. Look like you're in pain. Clutch your stomach. Simple as that. The satisfaction I got from not only successfully convincing my parents that I was in pain, but also avoiding the dreaded bellends in school, was overwhelming. Day went by, but I still didn't feel quite ready to go back to the hell that school had become. So I faked a 2nd day, and a 3rd, and a 4th. In fact, I faked a total of 6 days. It was much more fun to be at home playing FIFA than to be dreading every interaction. Part of me knew I had to stop, but I didn't want to. Just one more day, I told myself every morning. By the 6th day, my parents were worried. Very worried. Worried that they took me to accident and emergency. By this point, I was in too deep. I continued to fake being in pain, although continuing to protest going to the hospital, even as my dad walked me through the doors. I continued faking the pain even as the doctor examined me. After questioning me, she started probing and prodding down at the bottom of my stomach, and near my groin area. The doctor sends me back to the waiting room. Figured they'd just give me some painkillers and I'd be on my way, faking taking them while gradually getting better. Yes, I really was prepared to go that far. My name gets called, so my dad and I walk up to the counter and are directed to a room down a hallway. The same doctor is there and tells me pull down my shorts and to lie down on my front. My dad and doctor have a brief conversation behind me. Confused, I lie still. Then, after the obligatory "this won't take too long," the doctor promptly rams something up my ass. It was about the size of a .30 caliber or .50 caliber bullet. Shaped like a bullet too. I feel the stream of liquid, what I now know as fleet, streaming through my insides. As it turns out, I did have something wrong with me. I had constipation. So they'd administered a laxative rectally. I'd had no clue I was constipated, I just wanted time off school. And so, after being told to wait 10 minutes then head to the toilet toilet, I returned to the waiting room. The laxative worked after about 2 minutes. Unable to hold it, I rushed to the toilet, where I would stay for the next 30 minutes or so. This was to be my punishment for lying. A bloody effective one too, as I've never faked being sick again. Mostly because I don't want anything else put up my butt without warning. I was back at school the next day. Too long didn't read. I faked a stomachache for 6 days, then was taken to hospital and had a laxative rammed up my ass. The real today I fucked up is you have the most trusting parents on the planet who'd believe you had 6 days of stomach problems when my parents don't believe I'm sick without a high temp. Why does it seem like I came looking for copper and found gold situation? You know you were constipated, and if it got worse they would have performed surgery. You got off easy. Also congratulations on avoiding bullies and a major health complication. Killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I mean, I will take the win. Glad you enjoyed my misfortune. Or, as you say, fortune smile. Really did get both lucky and unlucky. Firstly, sorry you had to face bullies. Hope it's much better now. Secondly, congrats on convincing your parents you had a stomachache. Thirdly, and finally, BIGOOF. Haha, thanks, it's gotten a lot better, partly because I'm not the tiny British kid with the high-pitched voice anymore. I have also changed schools, which helped. I got to redefine myself. Thank you bows. And yeah, it was a big oof. They should have warned you, that was not okay. Welcome to Singapore healthcare. Straight to the point. Pun sort of intended. Should have went with the clammy hands. It's a good, non-specific symptom. Most people say a phony fever or stomachache is the way to go, but end up with nervousness. You could wind up in doctor's office, which is worse than school. Haha, yeah, maybe. But I doubt that clammy hands would have got me out of 6 days of school. Then again, at least no hospital. Today I fucked up by accidentally outing my trans brother. So first, for a bit of context, my brother has come out as trans to me and my mom, but not to the rest of the family. On my father's side, almost everyone is Mormon, so they don't really like people being different, for example, gay or trans or whatever. Now, a few days ago my best friend, who has a professional camera and is an awesome photographer, came over for a Harry Potter cosplay photoshoot. The community we're in is very accepting, and my brother planned on outing himself there first, by playing a male instead of a female character. When we took the pictures, he already dressed and styled himself as his new character, and there were some pretty amazing shots. Now enter my stupidity. I chose a few of the best shots and uploaded them to my Instagram page, captioning them "my brother's green heart." Doing that, I totally forgot that some members of my family are following me there and could clearly see what was right in front of them. Yet, I only noticed when my cousin sent me a message, asking how my brother would like to be called now. This is when I noticed I fucked up. I frantically sent her a dozen of messages asking to forget about this whole thing and don't speak to anyone about it. Then I talked to my brother about what happened. He was surprisingly okay with it and said that maybe it was time for him to come out in front of our family. Then got a message from my cousin, and she was very kind and said that she wouldn't tell anyone and that she only wants all family members to be happy. Me and my brother were both very relieved and happy, and I honestly feel like I fucked up big time, but we also dodged a bullet. Too long didn't read, I accidentally outed my trans brother to my family via Instagram. If your cousin picked up on it from a cosplay image, where it's not unusual for people to cosplay opposite gender, especially F2M, I'm betting those closet doors your brother's behind aren't hiding much. Most likely, anyone open to the idea is already okay with it. Anyone not might consider it likely that they'd make the same mistake. I think if there's a bullet here, you dodged it. I'm guessing the brother used to be sister, so when not post on Instagram and call him brother, that would be pretty easy for the cousin to figure it out, not the cosplay itself. Hope all works out. If there is an issue and he doesn't want to come out yet, you could always say it was a joke cause he was dressed up as a guy X. As a trans man, I initially felt a little panic at reading the title. I'm glad it turned out okay and your brother was cool about it, since it sounds like it came from good intentions. To be honest, I doubt any of the more religious side of the family would have automatically thought transgender from seeing the IG post, unless you added very specific hashtags. Then yikes on you. Lol. Yeah. I'm sure if there are any that take it wrong he could play it off as I was joking because she was dressed up as a guy. Lol, if his brother isn't ready to deal with it. Hopefully it's entirely unnecessary and everything ends up being heartwarming. Still sucks that the accident happened and Ops Bro didn't get to come out on his own terms, but hopefully it at least ends well and he gets the surprise of loving acceptance as opposed to having his beliefs for why he needs to hide his true self confirmed. It really sucks that we live in a world where coming out has to be a scary thing. Disappointed face. Good on you for owning your mistake. Good on your cousin for being so accepting to immediately ask for the proper name/pronouns. Good on your brother for handling it so coolly. F up, yes. But handled by all parties so far. Bo, today I fucked uply. Calling him your brother in public probably makes him feel really good. Edit, yeah. This wasn't a fuck up. You did a perfect job in respecting him and using the correct pronouns. Fist.